TotalEnergies is pausing business with Adani Group, saying in a statement on Monday that it will freeze further payments to the Indian conglomerate. It comes after Adani Green Energy, which TotalEnergies has a 20% stake in, became engulfed in a crisis over an alleged multi-million-dollar bribery scheme. The group's billionaire chairman, Gautam Adani, and 7 other people were last week charged by US authorities. They're accused of agreeing to pay around $265 million in bribes to Indian government officials. The charges relate to alleged payments to obtain contracts that could yield $2 billion in profits over 20 years. The charges also include making misleading statements to the public, despite being made aware of the US investigation in 2023. The Adani Group has said that the accusations, as well as those levelled by the US Securities and Exchange Commission in a parallel civil case, are baseless.
No, please take your seat.
India's parliament was suspended on Monday after disruption by lawmakers demanding the allegations be discussed. Shares of Adani Green Energy plunged more than 11% after the TotalEnergies statement. They recovered slightly to close down 7.9%. The company did not immediately respond to a request for comment on TotalEnergies' statement. Adani Group's 10 listed stocks lost around $28 billion in market value over 2 sessions last week. Banks and regulators are reviewing exposure to the group in the wake of the charges.
Walmart plans to cut back some of its diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives. A spokesperson for the retailer made the announcement Monday. Bloomberg reported Walmart will no longer consider race and gender to boost diversity when granting supplier contracts. It further said eligibility for financing will not be assessed based on suppliers providing certain demographic data. The report added Walmart will scale back racial equity training. It will also stop participating in rankings by an LGBTQ advocacy group and review its support for Pride and other events. A spokesperson for Walmart confirmed Bloomberg's report. They said they are willing to change alongside their associates and customers who represent all of America. The retail giant joins a growing list of firms feeling pressure from conservative groups. Other US majors like Starbucks, JP Morgan Chase and Ford have modified their DEI policies over the last year. Walmart's move follows a post on X from conservative activist Robbie Starbuck. He disclosed the DEI policy changes at Walmart before the Bloomberg report. Starbuck has examined and confronted companies over their employment policies. The Financial Times said Ford and Harley-Davidson are among companies that have said they would end some diversity policies after being targeted by Starbuck.
Its steel-making roots date back to the early 1800s, but Thyssenkrupp Steel plans to cut some 40% of its workforce over the coming years. It announced the latest painful overhaul on Monday, with workers at the German industrial giant promising fierce resistance. The country's largest steelmaker, a division of Thyssenkrupp AG, is under pressure from cheaper Asian competitors. It's seen operating losses in 4 of the past 5 years. With a workforce of 27,000, the German firm said it would axe 5,000 of those roles by 2030 and another 6,000 through spin-offs or divestitures. The goal is to reduce personnel costs by some 10% on average in the coming years. Thyssenkrupp Steel said it wants to adapt to future market expectations by reducing production capacity. Germany's industrial star has been fading in recent months as production slows, foreign demand ebbs, and costs rise.
Macy shares fell nearly 5% Monday morning after it delayed the release of its third quarter results due to deliberate accounting errors made by an employee. The department store chain said an independent investigation found that a single employee intentionally made wrong accounting entries to hide up to $154 million in delivery expenses over the course of nearly 3 years. It represented less than 4% of total delivery expenses during that time. Macy said the employee is no longer with the company, and there was no sign of the error affecting cash management activities or vendor payments. Still, an analyst told Reuters it looks bad for the company as it seems the retailer was caught off guard by this, but the amount is small. The surprise announcement deprived the market of a key department store bellwether's outlook ahead of a potentially uncertain holiday season. Macy's did issue preliminary sales figures instead, which fell short of Wall Street expectations, and said it anticipates releasing its full third quarter report by December 11th.
Northvolt's financial collapse could spell the end of Europe's ambitions to set up its own battery industry to power electric cars. It sparked debate over whether the continent needs to do more to attract investment, as startups struggle to near Chinese rivals. The Swedish company, Europe's biggest hope for an EV battery champion, filed for bankruptcy in the US on Thursday. That's after funding talks with investors and creditors, including Volkswagen and Goldman Sachs, failed. Northvolt, whose motto is Make Oil History, has received more than $10 billion in equity, debt and public financing since its 2016 startup. But it said it needed up to $1.2 billion in new funds under the restructuring process, which it hopes will end by the end of March. In recent months, it has shrunk the business and cut jobs in a bid to shore up its finances. It has struggled to produce sufficient volumes of high-quality batteries and lost a $2.1 billion contract from BMW in June. That has left Europe's ambitions to build its own battery industry looking like a distant dream. In recent years, Northvolt led a wave of European startups investing tens of billions of dollars to serve the continent's automakers as they switch to EVs. But growth in EV demand is moving at a slower pace than many in the industry projected. And data shows China has taken a huge lead in powering EVs, controlling 85% of global battery cell production. Making batteries and cells, the units that store and convert chemical energy into electricity, is a delicate process. Doing so at scale is a challenge for any battery maker. Northvolt has missed some in-house targets and curtailed production at its battery cells plant in northern Sweden. Alongside this, analysts have said China is technologically 10 years ahead of the West in batteries. At least 8 companies have postponed or abandoned EV battery projects in Europe this year.
Recent advancements in artificial intelligence and engineering have the potential to change the world in many ways, from healthcare to disaster response. And now there's a push from companies racing to be the first to introduce AI-powered robots into our everyday lives. With proponents like Tesla CEO Elon Musk saying there could be billions of humanoid bots roaming the Earth by 2040 and costs falling, the market looks set to explode. Here at the International Conference on Humanoid Robotics in Nancy, France, more than 24 companies alongside research institutions are showcasing their latest machines.
We are really witnessing a huge revolution, a huge increase in the number of startups.
Serena Ivaldi is Director of Research at the INRIA Center at the University of Lorraine.
In the last year, there has been a revolution in the actuation and in some mechatronics components, and so the robots now are more robust, more efficient, more performing, and also the cost has decreased, which enables more companies, more labs to produce new prototypes.
Ivaldi says that cheaper engineering costs have allowed a rise in startups developing robotics. While engineers design the machines to mimic human form and movement, AI provides the brain power, helping the robots to learn from their environment, make decisions, and perform complex tasks. Ivaldi also says new AI methods that incorporate image and language processing will make the machines more useful.
Right now, in the AI domain, there is a lot of work that is done with pre-trained models that start from a lot of examples, a lot of demonstrations. But I think it's not that far the moment where the AI methods will exhibit the generalization capacity that enables the robot to do new stuff that is explained on the fly without having demonstrations.
Companies like Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, and Nvidia have already invested billions in adopting AI. According to venture capital firm Excel, funding of AI and cloud companies in the US, Europe, and Israel is estimated to hit nearly $80 billion by the end of 2024. But as some robots showed off their skills at the conference, Agnieszka Łukowska from the Italian Institute of Technology warned that we are still a ways away from seeing the sorts of robots we'd recognize from science fiction.
Well, I guess at this moment is what I just mentioned, is being naturally in real time able to respond to the environment, to the human, and act in complex environments like home, for example, or clinical setting like where we are. So I think this is still a big challenge, and we're very far away from making robots fully autonomous to be able to interact with humans in such a way.
Huawei unveiled its Mate 70 smartphone series on Tuesday. The Chinese tech giant also showed off its own operating system. That's a big step because the firm is looking to cleanly break away from US technology. The Mate 70 is the successor to the 60 series released in August last year. It was widely seen as marking Huawei's comeback to high-end smartphones in competition with Apple. Its business was badly hit by US export curbs before. The launch comes as the US is expected to announce new export controls. Washington could add up to 200 Chinese chip companies to a trade blacklist as soon as this week, which would restrict their access to US suppliers. Huawei executive Richard Yu described the device as the most powerful Mate phone ever. He said prices will start at $758, cheaper than Apple's base iPhone 16 model. Yu also said the Mate 70 is the first mainstream smartphone to include a satellite paging system. It also has an improved processor and runs on Huawei's own Harmony OS Next operating system. The Mate 70 series is the first major commercial rollout of Harmony OS Next. It's a major step in Huawei's push for software independence since US curbs cut off its access to Google services 5 years ago. The patriotic sentiment around Huawei's technological breakthrough has helped fuel its market recovery. It's also intensified competition with other players including iPhone maker Apple.